So I was talking to the doctor, and I was telling him about the rash that developed. And he gave me some cream for it, but I wasn't sure if it was the right cream. I tried to read it.
I used that on my face by accident. Is that the cream that was in the cabinet?
It is. That cream.
Oh, it's disgusting.
That wasn't for... Oh, no. Crap, we're on the air. Oh, hey, everybody. Didn't know you were there. How are you?
I still use that cream.
Welcome to another edition of
Paranormal Hangover,
where we answer your questions live on the air no matter what you ask.
Well, not really, because I don't know everything about all stuff.
I know everything. The meaning of life, that came to me when I was astral projecting. Actually, no, that was when I was on the toilet. Anyway, welcome everyone to the show this evening. I don't know if you know who our guest is tonight.
That would be John Zappis.
Mr. John
Zappis.
The godfather of the paranormal. John obviously has a tremendous resume. Yeah. A tremendous bloodline. The guy was born to be part of the paranormal. So.
Well, yeah, really, I know him because of his fashion statements. I like his jacket.
I do like John's jacket.
I like his winter jacket.
That we'll get to that in a little bit. But first. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. As you know, John Zappis will be our guest this evening. He's going to take the whole hour of the show. Mm-hmm. Normally, we spotlight a paranormal team for the last 15 minutes. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but every time we get on a roll with a guest, I almost said customer. We get on a roll with a guest, we seem to have to cut them short and jump over to the spotlight guest, which is completely fine. Yeah. But I think that John Zappis deserves an hour.
Yeah. I'm sure we're going to have plenty to talk with him about.
Oh, my God. There's a lot of stuff going on for John. We joke around about Brian and Chris being the hardest working guys in the paranormal. Mm-hmm. But John works just as hard.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, the guy's always doing something. Mm-hmm. He's got a book coming out or out now. It's being promoted right now, Haunted by the Things You Love. So we'll talk to him about that when he comes on a little bit. And some cool stuff going on right now for John.
It's going to be exciting. I am excited to speak with him.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to speaking with
the wonderful world of Ebola. Welcome to the United States.
Let's not talk about Ebola.
We're going to meet a new ride at Disney. The Wonderful World of Ebola.
Yes.
I feel like it's a small world.
You stand in line for 47 hours. And, well, it's just like being in Disney anyway. By the time you get on the ride, you're bleeding from every orifice in your body anyway. And you want to spend the rest of your life in a hospital. So.
You never want to hear another kid's voice.
Well, yeah, so Ebola. Mm-hmm. The Ice Bucket Challenge. Yes. I want to talk about the Ice Bucket Challenge because not everybody knows about this. It started up here. Peter Frates, is a gentleman living in Beverly, Mass, who has ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Mm-hmm. Peter Frates was the coach of BC baseball, Boston College.
Oh, Boston College.
So the Boston College baseball team. He was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's, and his story isn't completely horrible. The guy, he's married and expecting a child this year, but he is stricken with ALS and having a real hard time with it. So this Ice Bucket Challenge has come about, where people are challenging each other and calling each other out in public on Facebook, and challenging their friends to dump a bucket of ice water over their head. If you do, you get away with donating just $10, which for a lot of people, that's not a little bit. That's a donation. Yeah. Enough people do it. A million people donate $10. That's $10 million. Mm-hmm. So every little bit helps. You do the Ice Bucket Challenge, donate $10, and you get the pleasure of calling out a couple of your friends. Mm-hmm. You don't do the challenge, you have to pay $100. Mm-hmm. And you don't get to call your friends out. Mm-hmm. And you look like a big wuss because you didn't dump ice over your head.
Hey, poo-poo, you didn't do it.
So that's, we took part of the Ice Bucket Challenge today.
Mm-hmm. Went out in public. Yep. Down to the boulevard.
Where millions of people were watching.
Not really.
All right.
Probably lots of seagulls.
By millions, I think 4.
And some geese.
Yeah, some boats.
Yeah. Some foreigners who were staring at us like we were crazy people.
Yes, by foreigners, I think they were from New York.
Oh, hey-oh. The guy did have a satchel. What?
And a New York Giants bag.
Yep.
I might say.
Strahan.
Good old Michael Strahan. The Gap. Shopping at the Gap. So that's what we did today. We had some fun out in the sun and dumped a bucket of ice water over our heads and threw it up on Facebook. And, I see that, I think Tiffany was called out on it. And I haven't seen anything from Tiffany Beth yet dumping ice over her head. Her phone mysteriously doesn't work all of a sudden. She can't take videos.
Do it, Tiff. It's fun. And let me tell you something. It was about 400% humidity today. 4 seconds after the water dripped all over my body, dry, done.
Dry.
Drip
dry on the way back to the car. It was, hey! Sorry, I just got excited because I looked down and saw Jason from Kips was here.
Woo!
I want to thank Jason, by the way, because he and his team were very kind and sent us some pretty awesome bracelets to wear, which we'll put some photos up.
I forget what they're called something. They're called like survival bracelets or something. There's a name for them.
But
they're really cool.
We were wearing them during the Ice Bucket Challenge, so you'll see that in our videos if you check it out. But that was very kind of them.
Yeah.
We wear them proudly, and thank you again, Jason, and your team.
And the rest of your team.
The rest of the Kirkmans.
You.
Other news, there's lots of cool things happening in the world of paranormal, lots of cool little videos running around, and
videos can run?
Videos run.
Wow.
I don't know if
I guess Zuckerberg really did figure it out, huh?
He did. Zuckerberg's a mastermind. I'm telling you, Zuckerberg, don't worry about the government. It's Zuckerberg you have to worry about.
Yeah, tell me about it.
He's like
everything is on Facebook.
He's like President Business from the Lego movie.
Facebook/Huggies. Like, you can go, it's like Facebook/broccoli. There's everything is on Facebook. Every single thing. You know what I love about Facebook? When it automatically likes things for you, but it's not things that you liked.
Yes.
So, like, I have friends tell me, why did you like Hellman's mayonnaise? What do you like? What do you like mayonnaise? You want people to know you like mayonnaise? Yeah. I didn't like that. What are you talking about? I go on my page, there it is. Yep. I like mayonnaise. Why? Because yesterday I put up that I liked the ham sandwich and there was mayonnaise on it.
You mentioned the word mayo.
I might have. Yeah. See? Mayo challenge.
Recently learned. The mayo challenge. Oh, that sounds like it could get very disgusting.
8 4 spoonfuls of mayo.
Oh,
with cinnamon on it. And cayenne pepper.
Oh my God, do the cinnamon challenge and chase it with mayo.
Oh, there'd be more deaths. It'd be awful. All right, so we got off track, but
yeah, sorry.
Continue.
I don't know what I was saying. Anyway, but getting back to the whole videos, I recently found out that Facebook is going around and getting rid of some of your event pages.
No, don't say yours, say just...
People's.
Yeah, people's.
People's event pages.
People's event pages.
I'm not sure of the reason why yet, so if you've created an event page, you may want to keep a tab on it, because it may not be there anymore.
Do you know the reason for that?
I don't know the reason.
Okay.
But I'm not bashing Facebook, because Facebook does a lot of good things, and, speaking of bashing...
At least they're trying to keep track of people. I mean, let's say that. It might not all be right, but let's say... What?
Right. No, I said speaking of bashing, and you didn't jump on it. But anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
Speaking of bashing,
you
can check us all out on Video Bash.
Ah.
DTM Wicked Radio has a Video Bash account where people can go on Video Bash, type in their favorite show, which would be Paranormal Hangover. Type in Paranormal Hangover in Video Bash, and you can check out our archives and listen to our previous shows.
Does the Caring Coaching Center have a Video Bash?
The Caring Coaching Center does not have a Video Bash, but they do have a website called thecaringcoachingcenter.com.
Okay.
And on thecaringcoachingcenter.com, you can visit there and actually kind of diagnose your life. Get a new you.
Yeah, new you, man. New diet, new little exercises that you can do, just positive thinking, good things to get your life back up and make things, make things better, make yourself happy. It's the little things in life that make you happy, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, big things make me happy too.
Well, yeah. I mean, everyone wants
what?
Everyone wants to not have debt and just be able to have a house and a car and not have to worry about bills. But
True. True.
Sometimes it's the smallest little things that make you happy. Like my friend Melissa had a baby today. Little Joseph Michael Marcello, 8 pounds 1 ounce.
Aww.
Precious little thing.
He was early too, wasn't he?
I think he was a little early, yeah. Can't wait to see him. He's a little big boy though, huh?
Wow. 8 pounds?
Yeah.
And early?
Yep.
Big kid.
Music lover.
Aww.
That kid's gonna have a crazy record collection, I'll tell you that much.
Well, if they were smart, they would have had him listening to the last 7 episodes of Paranormal Hangover while he's been stewing in there, cooking in the belly. Put some speakers on there, hear some Paranormal Hangover. He'll come out all ready to go. So anyway, I could go on for hours and hours and hours talking about us, but we're not going to do that tonight.
Our guest is going to be on soon.
Our guest is coming on right now, as a matter of fact.
Okay then.
without further ado, I would like to bring on our guest of the evening, Mr. John Zaffis. Hello, John.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, John.
We are fantastic. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. That's very good to hear. We saw you a couple weeks ago at Ocean State Paracon.
Uh-huh.
And by saw, I mean creepily stalked you out.
That's okay. That was a good stalking.
We were sitting off on the side with a book just drawing caricatures of you.
Any good ones?
I'm a terrible artist, so I don't think so. But.
John eats a veggie burger. John on stage.
You were so much all over the place there, walking around and mingling with everyone, that we didn't get an opportunity to approach you and hang out and talk with you for a little bit. But it's always a pleasure to see you and hear you speak. You were part of the Conjuring panel at Ocean State, and that was a fantastic time to hear.
Yeah, it was great to get everybody up there because that's the first time in all these years that we literally were on stage, and you had several of the different investigators that have been in that home over the course of the years since Andrea and her family had lived there. So I was pretty excited about that also.
Yeah, that was very cool. Yeah.
And I know when I go to these conventions, again, a key element and something that is very important to me is I love to intermingle with people. I go to all the booths, I go to the tables, I try to go to some of the different, talks and things that I haven't heard before. To me, that's what it's about, intermingling with everybody and socializing.
Right.
Yeah. And Ocean State's a perfect spot for that because that's basically what that whole thing was about. It was to raise money for autism down in Rhode Island, the Autism Society of Rhode Island.
Yep.
But it was also about being so accessible to all these people that were there and just getting to see people that you haven't seen in a year or 6 months or whatever it was. So It was a good time. Ken did a great job with that.
Yeah.
He sure did. He did a fantastic time, very well organized, and the understanding I had, he did very, very well with raising money, for the association.
Right.
Great. I mean, who would say, no, $5 is too much? No, $5 is perfect. Everyone can afford $5 to go for 2 days to go to Ocean State Paracon to hang out with people that maybe they've seen on TV or people who have written books that they've read, and to be in a really comfortable, cool environment and in a beautiful spot too.
Oh.
We lucked out, the weather-wise and everything, too. I thought it was great. So, like I said, if anybody went and they did not have a good time, it's their own fault.
Exactly.
It was so affordable, and it's so, especially in this area. I mean, who in New England doesn't like the paranormal? There's so many places up here that you hear stories about, or you drive by and you go, ooh, that place is so creepy.
Yeah. I wonder if it's haunted.
$5. To go see John Zaffis talk.
Yeah, exactly.
To see Krista Cesare.
Andrea Perrone,
Andrea Perrone. Yeah. All the people that were there. It was such a great time. And, I posted when we were talking about having you on the show, part of the post was you get a chance to talk to someone you've idolized, a legend in your field. And it's true. Yeah. I idolize John Zaffis because of what he's done for our, I don't want to say industry, but our field, our passion. He's somebody who has, I don't want to say, I guess, broken down doors.
Yeah.
He's somebody that has been so in your, not in your face, but just doing something a little bit different than everyone else, the right way. And I can't say enough. I'm not going to sit here and brown nose anymore, John. Sorry.
Let me work that out. Hold on. Let me work that out for you.
See, the one thing with me, I just sit here, and mostly anybody that really knows me will go, oh, don't do that with him. Because I sit here and I go, what do you, I have a hard time when somebody does that with me because I don't look at myself as any, type of person, within any type of realm of something. I just look at it, just the same as you, just, been crazy enough to do it longer. That's all.
I can only hope that I get there someday. I can only hope.
I live long enough to doing it that long. Yeah.
So, a couple things going on for you. I have a few questions I want to ask on topic, but real quick, I've noticed you have a book that's coming out or out right now. I saw the Amazon advertisement today too. So, Haunted by the Things You Love. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the book?
A fantastic project. 4 years in the making. Rosemary Ellen Guiley, one of our leading authority figures in the field, and she has 60-plus books to her credit. And her and I, just have become very good friends over the course of the year. And it was one of my dreams to do some type of a book project with her. And it just, we were able to get it pulled together. She's been to my home. She doesn't live that far. We don't live that far away from each other many, many, many times. And finally, several months earlier, she said, "John, I have some time. Do you?" And I said, "Yes, let's get it done." And we finally got it all pulled together, and I'm excited about it. It's coming out this Friday on Amazon. We will have copies with us at the Michigan Paracon that we will be at this coming weekend. And it talks a lot about, different items that I have in the museum, different types of things, how they affect people, what happens. There's information in there why certain items could be haunted, and, an in-depth conversation, so to speak, with the individual stories per item in there. And it's mostly things that Rosemary had chose to put in there that were things that people didn't already know about. Right? There's an exception with a few, because if I didn't put them in there, I'd hear about it. But, the overall of the book of what she was able to create, pull together, I'm extremely excited about that. It's just something I've always wanted done, and looked very forward to getting it accomplished, and it's finally here.
Nice.
Wow.
That's good. Kind of like I don't want to say like the ultimate, like almost like an ultimate project for you.
It was. Believe it or not, it really was. And it's not the fact of, I wouldn't care what topic she wanted to do it on, just that being able to do a project with her, and, something that will be around long after we're gone is what I've always wanted to do. I've lectured with her, and we've done many things together. We've investigated together, and, it's just something that, to me, was an extremely important thing on my bucket list, and it's finally done.
Nice.
Good.
Excellent.
Very nice. Another one to cross off. Now, talking about things that you love, haunted by the things you love, and objects that could be haunted or potentially haunted, or whatever might be attached to them. Going in on an investigation or a case like that to look into an object that could potentially be haunted, is there, if you do discover that, my remote to my TV, I'm just because it's in front of me, is haunted for some reason, is there a different process in taking care of that haunted object as if you were going in and, say, a person were possessed or haunted, or a home was in an extreme haunting? Is there a different process to control and contain that?
Again, when we deal with property, buildings, houses, or items, the process is totally different than it would be handled as far as a person having issues. We do our rituals, we do our bindings, and there's many other different things we could do with them. But when it comes to an individual, a lot of times you've got to be extremely guarded and careful to, rule out the fact that, hey, are these people just off their rocker, or, do they really have something legitimately going on as far as, being under oppression or being legitimately possessed? Because possession is rare. It gets thrown a lot, but, a lot of these situations aren't necessarily what we call true possession. They're more oppression, and it's handled a little differently. But our process of elimination, whether it's an item or a house or a piece of property, you go in and you investigate. You have the equipment with you. You're, going around and you're checking things. I mean, I think about the one thing I look at that's, I don't think much different than most investigators. If a person has a particular room where they have a lot of activity. Naturally, I'll say, did you bring anything new in here? Anything changed? And then, we might do some testing to see if we're picking up any type of energy off of an item. Can we get any EVPs? Is there anything we can pick up that we can substantiate something and say, hey, good possibility this could be causing the problem. Mm-hmm. Now, the normal way that I always do this, with people is, again, I'll just say, okay, why don't you just take it out of the house, put it out in your garage or out in your barn or something, and, some people prefer to do that. Other people just say, no, just get that stupid thing out of here. Just get it out. Right. That is, a lot of times the way people react, if it's an item. And I'm not really interested in taking grandma's jewelry, to be perfectly honest with you. So, again, if it comes into a family heirloom or something, I always recommend, what we need to do. Put it in your safe deposit box, give it to another relative. Just keep it away from everybody where the energy of you isn't intermingling with it. And a lot of times that can get the situations to calm right down, too, without even removing the item at all.
Sure. Right. Sure. Yeah. That's good advice, because obviously there are a lot of people out there that, again, it goes along with any of the other shows out there that people watch and decide, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to run out and do it. And now people are going into homes and, removing mirrors, removing this, removing that, without actually doing the proper steps to, are we getting EVPs? Are we getting any sort of sign of paranormal happening in this home? Can we associate it back to this object? And like you just said, you're not interested in removing objects just to remove them. It's got to be the right situation. It's got to be the right thing for the family to really take back their home. Right. So,
again, too, I agree with you 100%. It's out of control with people going in, and if they can't find any other reason, they'll pick an item within the home or something and say, oh, I think that's causing the problem, and remove it. Yeah. No, that's not the process. The process of elimination is the most critical part with that. And again, you want to be able to try and resolve something instead of just removing something, because that's just not going to do it. Unfortunately, again, I wish there was a lot more that they would have let us air in the episodes on why I do it, what are my procedures, and there's so much that just wasn't in there to clarify to people to get a better understanding of it when we're dealing with the items. So I understand where the confusion comes in.
Right. Yeah.
And that's exactly true. And obviously, as much as I'm sure you would love to be, John Zappis isn't accessible to everybody. Not everyone can pick up the phone and say, "Hey, John, what do I do? Yeah, I'm on this case. 3 people just got thrown across the room. There's green slime coming out of the walls. Yeah. What should I do now?" That doesn't happen.
Hey, that's happening. If that's happening, I'm going.
Note to self.
Well, let's get everybody John's number now. No, I'm just kidding. And do you ever get to the point where you'd love to just get a phone call for somebody who thinks that Uncle Ed is in the wow, that just came out. I didn't mean to put that out there, but okay. Uncle so and so just happens to be in the house making noise. Would you ever love to just get that call rather than the John, I think there's a big stinky demon in my house. I need you to come, and spend a week here trying to help our family. Do you long for that phone call sometimes to just be a case where you don't have to worry about, a binding ceremony and everything else you need to do in the home?
Yes, but it happens quite often. Believe it or not, I just recently worked on a case where it was several deceased relatives. They were wreaking havoc and causing all kinds of crazy things going on because, this does bother me in the field that somebody says, John Zappis came to check out the house. Oh, you got demons. No, it doesn't mean you got demons. To be perfectly honest with you, I'd rather deal with Casper the Ghost than have to deal with the negative stuff. So, in this case that I just recently investigated and went in and we were able to get several of the deceased members of the family, 10 of them to be exact with you, 10 of them that came through, and they gave us names, they gave us information, they gave all kinds of things, and 2 of the relatives were sitting there and just, total amazement that all this information came through, and I didn't have any yet. I had none of this information prior going in, but we were able to, substantiate, that it's basically deceased relatives because several generations had lived in this home. Mm-hmm. And I said, again, a lot of times when you remodel or you do something, and you do have a spirit that's in the house, they will wreak havoc, but it doesn't mean it's a demon. I do, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy doing those types of cases because they're a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's
that's easy for you to say. I wouldn't want to be in that situation.
Exactly. And I find that, a lot of times with the calls that we get, most of the time you can explain it away with what's happening, naturally in the home anyway.
Right.
I mean, rarely is there a house that's haunted,
mm-hmm.
that when you go in and investigate that it's actually haunted. So I don't like to see that, every team for every investigation is posting, that, oh, this was happening, that happened, because realistically I don't find that with every investigation you do, mm-hmm. you're going to come away with evidence of the paranormal.
Yeah.
And I love telling people, we didn't capture anything.
Yeah.
But this and this, you might want to look into that. We did one recently, and when I say recently, it was in probably the last 6 months, where we detected a gas leak in the house, and
mm-hmm.
we had the woman call the landlord immediately while we were standing there. But yeah, I mean, some of the symptoms and some of the things she was talking about could absolutely be caused by high gas levels in the home. These are things that, although you don't want anybody to be in danger, you love to be able to tell somebody, I think this is what's going on. Let's keep an eye on it and see if that's what it is.
It's not just TV; it's movies too.
Yeah.
Because I'll bring this up because this is funny. Someone that I know today said, I watched The Conjuring. I watched The Conjuring again last night. I love that movie, and then proceeded to tell me about something that had happened in her house to her like a few months ago. And the first thing she said after she told me the story was like, "No, but I'm okay. It's okay. We didn't smudge or anything." And in my head, I'm going, "Do you know what smudging is? What do you mean? Why did you just say that?" I'm thinking, "Oh, geez, good God." Because so many people will watch the movie and think, "Oh, I know what I'm doing. Oh, I watched that show. I know what I'm doing. That's okay."
Yeah.
And that just
I agree with you again. People watching the TV shows,
mm-hmm.
watching the movies, they have to take that step back and realize the reality of it. That's not always, there's so much that just doesn't make it into the TV shows because let's face facts. I mean, there are just things they're not going to allow. There's things that aren't going to happen. And when Hollywood develops a movie, a lot of times all of us know the true facts to a case, and we sit there and go, that didn't happen.
Exactly. Exactly. And she's a very smart girl, so I'm like, she just doesn't have any other sources to go to with it.
Unfortunately, people take TV entertainment for Bible, and it's not, and it's so. I usually save this question till the end, but since we're kind of talking about it now, this is a question I like to ask all our guests. Do you feel that TV and movies right now are hurting or helping the paranormal field?
It's a double-edged sword. If it wasn't for the TV shows, radio shows, the movies, people wouldn't be accepting of what they are today. You got to remember, over the past 6-7 years, people aren't looking at us like we're freaks. They're looking at it a little bit differently. But it's like that with anything. Anything that comes to the forefront, you're always, you're going to have the negative and you're going to have the positive that's going to be affiliated with it. So again, me looking at it, I just take that step back and go, if it wasn't for all the shows that are out there, people wouldn't be coming out to the conventions. People wouldn't be recognizing it. People are more open today about talking about their experiences because, here again, just sitting and watching the TV shows.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you sometimes, because I know I do, but do you sometimes wish that there was some way to regulate the people who call themselves quote-unquote paranormal investigators and are going into people's homes trying to investigate? I'm not talking about recreational ghost hunters going into other places that are more famous and open to the public. I'm talking about teams that are going into homes to investigate what's happening to people and families.
Oh, I call it an epidemic.
Yeah.
And I talk about this quite openly. It's very scary. You can't just throw up, a page out there and open up a society, and 3 or 4 people are going to get together, buy some equipment, and start going in and doing residential investigations. It's so dangerous, and we're seeing it. It's like an epidemic at this point when people are getting involved with this and doing that because they start giving them information, that literally these people are having difficulty comprehending or even understanding. And it's all a matter of a fact because this group wants to do what they want to do and another group wants to do what they want to do. This one's shooting a pilot for a TV series. I mean, it's out of control today.
Yeah.
There's no like paranormal cliff notes. You've got to go in and know and kind of do some research before you go into someone's home and tell them how to live their life when you don't know what's going on yourself.
Yeah.
Well, it's scary when people go in. I understand. I was there, way back when you want to learn about it and everything, but you have to mentor with people just like in any other field.
Exactly.
That's so crucial to do that and, to give information, but it just, I go insane when I hear a paranormal group that's just been around for 3 or 4 months, went into a house, started screaming, you have devils and demons in here, and then they run out.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and then what do you do for those poor people? You just came in, told them they have devils and demons, in your words, and then run out of the house. Okay, now what?
Yeah, now what?
What happens to those poor people?
Well, just think of the emotional trauma. That's what bothers me more than anything. Then when we get a call, to go in and, I try to figure out exactly what's happening or why it's happening, that implant of information is already there. Yeah. And it's a very difficult thing, well, why did they say there were demons here and you're saying they're not? Because I've been doing it for 42 years and they've been doing it for 6 months. What else do you want me to tell you?
They watched a couple TV shows and bought a video camera and a digital recorder, and oh man.
There just reminds me of bringing up movies again. It reminds us that Marc and I just recently watched Insidious and Insidious 2, which right, like just take away the like the fact whatever. It's just they're cool movies, whatever. So there's the one scene in is it the second movie when they don't believe her, they don't believe Elise. And the husband, he's like, Woody, you come in here and you pretend you see stuff and you do,
the first one, yeah.
Okay, but that's kind of the same thing because you have to get through people and say, no, I can tell you, these are my experiences. I have experience. I'm not, the hack teenagers that came in last week. It's very hard to prove that to somebody.
It's not even just teenagers. There's grown
or
adults.
Whatever, grown adults. Yeah.
There's grown adults doing it too. I'm in agreement with both of you that a mentoring program, getting in with a team, spending time going with a team under their wing, learning how to use the equipment, what the equipment means instead of just putting it down and waiting for stuff to interact with the equipment.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, what do you know what you're getting when it interacts with the equipment? And second of all, how does it even know to use the equipment? Don't just put it down and start videotaping. Yeah. Tell it. Talk to the spirit like they're standing in front of you and tell them what they're expected to do and how to do it. And then we can't always rely on equipment. Our bodies too. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm digressing. I apologize for that here. I'm getting on this.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay because again, there are topics that need to be discussed. There are things that need to be brought to the forefront when dealing with a lot of this. Because again, too, when somebody says to me, John, I went in and investigated, but we didn't get any evidence, and I'll go, and they'll go, well, there's no evidence. I go, it doesn't mean anything. You're dealing with a spiritual realm. You're dealing with something that we cannot, to this point, document as being scientific proof that something's haunted. We all got this equipment. Everybody's running around screaming and yelling with it. What does it mean? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have all these things. We have all this information which is good. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a good thing. But what are we doing with it? Nothing.
Yeah.
No, absolutely nothing, because, again, from a scientific perspective, we have to have repeatability, and Casper isn't always going to do what you tell him to do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I wish he would, but,
Yeah.
Me too. I've tried.
Oh, my goodness. Somebody in the chat room had asked a question a little while ago, and it was just out of sync at the time, but we're kind of around that spot. I can ask it. They had asked, they were curious if you've ever had anything oppress you or kind of, follow you around to a point where you needed some assistance or had to maybe take matters in your own hand for yourself. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to piggyback that with, what are some of the steps that you take to protect yourself and your team before and after the investigation?
Well, each and every individual is responsible for themselves. My organization, we have many different belief systems and practices in it. I believe very strongly in believing in the positive aspect of whatever you decide you are practicing. And I tell people you must have some type of foundation to be able to help protect yourself on a positive level.
Yeah.
And that's a key ingredient in our field. To this day, I still, I will do my prayers before going someplace and do prayers when I leave a location. Now, as far as having things follow or having paranormal experiences and different things like that, sure, I've had a lot of things happen over the years. I have never actually been possessed, to this point, but don't ever ask my wife that because she'll disagree with me.
You've been possessed for 40 years.
I know, right? But no, I've, again, when I'm with spiritual people, because people misinterpret demonology. Demonology is the study of absolutely everything that's out there in our field, cultures, all the different religions, and I work with all kinds of spiritual people. If I'm working with somebody Native American, I'm not going to call a priest in because it's not going to do a hill of beans.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Again, working with all of them over the course of the years or anything, I do not think twice of saying, hey, do me a favor, just do your little prayer session or what you do and, do it around me. I do not hesitate whatsoever to have something like that done.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I'm not one to really skirt controversy. I have no problem looking at someone when they ask me a religious question and they're, whatever religion they may be, and they say, well, why would a spirit that could be this religion react to a crucifix or whatever?
Yeah.
And I like to tell them, and I can say it with quite confidence, I don't necessarily believe it's the crucifix that affects, or whatever object you may be holding that affects what's happening. It's your positive belief in that foundation, like you said, that you believe so strongly in that
object
is what is going to help with the situation in pushing back with that negativity, if you will. It's that positive foundation in whatever you believe. You've got to believe it. Whatever it is, whether it's my watch is my religion or whatever it is, you've got to believe in that. And that is what will protect you and help you with your situation. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you a lot if that's sort of what you were saying.
Yes. And, on the flip side of that, now, what's most crucial is the fact that, if you have rosary beads, you have a cross, you have crystals, you have different relics from different belief systems, can that trigger something? Absolutely. Why? The intent and the purpose that could be associated with an item can trigger activity regardless of what the denomination is, but the key factor, you just said it, we ourselves, we are the catalyst.
Yeah.
So you bring the combination of, you're going into a house where, a person is practicing Judaism, you're coming in from a Christian perspective, then you're bringing in, something from a Native American perspective to try and, smudge or do something in a house. All hell's going to break loose.
Yeah.
Because you're taking a combination of a lot of different belief systems, which can be a very powerful tool. And once things start getting performed or things are happening, you're going to have activity that's going to occur.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And that's the other thing, too, is when you start doing that, everybody's got to be on the same page. You can't have, Bill in the kitchen making a sandwich while you're beginning to do things, because you're not in sync. You're not.
Well, your energy is not on the same path of.
So everybody's got to be on the same page.
I got you,
exactly. Something I'd like to talk about for a moment, and again, like I said, I'm not one to skirt controversy. I've been seeing a lot of fly-by-night, and I use that term loosely, become a demonologist in 6 short sessions. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a certificate. You pay me $300. I personally can't stomach that. I can't swallow it because I just don't see how in 6 hours you can become a demonologist when people work their whole life.
Mm-hmm. And are still learning.
Are still learning.
Yeah.
Personally, it is a path that I'm looking into taking. I just can't. I don't know where to turn. I kind of know the beginnings and the foundation as to where to start. I just can't find the right guidance to do it.
Yeah.
For people who may be considering this out there, where would you recommend that somebody starts?
The key factor when interest or just wanting to learn the basics of demonology, you have to have spiritual people. You'll have to have those connections. And, whether it's rabbis, priests, shamans, medicine men, Buddhists, because I've worked with all. And it's a key fundamental thing because I had studied demonology for several years before my uncle would even let me get involved with dealing with the heavier cases. And, back then, no, naturally I didn't understand that. But as time went on, it all came into play. Wow, what this rabbi told me, or wow, what this shaman had told me, and the different information that's shared. The basics of it, you have to start, and you have to mentor with spiritual people out there to be able to build that foundation. Because just reading a book or some of the crazy websites they have out there with information on it today, just ends up making a bigger mess that these poor people get involved with. And yes, the whole demonology craze is an epidemic within itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that, and it's not that I don't want people learning demonology. Other people have to. Somebody's got to do it, down the road also. But not everybody's qualified to do demonology. And, again, it's very scary because you've got to really get that basic under your belt with training and mentoring with people, because there's a lot of things that you're just not going to learn in a book. You're not. And it's just the nature of it from spiritual individuals, sharing information with you and sharing their experiences and having you there watching some of the things that are occurring and happening and trying to figure out what's happening. So I find it very difficult and very hard on my end also when I'll see somebody, I'm a demonologist. I go, oh, okay. How long have you been involved with it? Oh, 4 or 5 months. I go,
Oh my God.
Well, then you know something I don't know, buddy.
Doesn't that make you
So it's scary. It's a very scary thing.
Yeah. I can't, like I said, I see stuff, in 6 1-hour classes, really. In 6 hours, I'm going to learn demonology, 24 how I can't, like you said, I can't possibly fathom, and I can't even imagine 6 years from now myself being able to go in on a case as a quote-unquote demonologist to handle the situation. Mm-hmm. I just can't imagine that. It's something that I'm sure you even get into situations where you look and go, okay, this one's going to try me a little bit, and I'm going to have to work on this one. Mm-hmm. So I can't imagine somebody trying to do that, like you said, in 4 months to say, I'm ready, let's go, let's bring it on, open the gates of hell, I'm ready to take it.
Right.
I can't imagine.
Well, again, too, time and time again I see this, and it's unfortunate these poor individuals end up destroying their lives because once you start intertwining with all this, it's not going to stand there and have a tail and have hooves and, horns on it. It affects your personal life, your friendships. It affects your family. It affects you in ways that you're just not even going to be prepared for. And then, again, when the life structure starts falling apart and everything, and they take that step back and they go, why is this all happening? Why is this all happening? there's your reason is why it's happening, because you weren't prepared to jump into it.
Yeah.
It's no different than a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse. I would not want to deal with any of those people that only had 6 months of training under their belt. No way, Jose.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. Like I imagine it's oh yeah, I'm a demonologist. I'm going to do this. And, I imagine you the first horrific thing that you see, pack your bags and go running. It's the same as if, oh wait, you're a doctor, you've been trained for 6 months? Great. Yeah, that guy needs his appendix out. Go ahead. Have a field day.
Yeah.
He's got to live.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Even last year, we were at ParaHistoryCon 1. If you don't know our history, that's actually where Lauren and I met, was at ParaHistoryCon 1 up in Lake George. And you were there. And you had you gave a tremendous speech. You had a fantastic Q&A session at the end of the day. And one of the things you spoke about was a case you had been on, and it's a fairly famous case. But you said, when it first happened, and the smelliest, stinkiest, most disgusting thing you could ever imagine, even worse, manifest in front of you, you about fell over the coffee table, grabbed your keys, and just booked and didn't talk to anybody for days. It happens. Even somebody who's been doing it for their life is going to have moments where it's like, do I really want to still do this? Is this really what I signed up for? Are you in a position now where if you looked back on your life, you'd still want to be doing this and you'd repeat it all over again?
I'm going to say I don't think I would change anything in my life, no matter what perspective of it. Again, looking back upon it, and I do believe wholeheartedly and that people get a calling to do certain things in their lives. I do believe in that. And years ago, when, I just started, meeting a lot of the different spiritual individuals out there, and they, would talk to me, and we'd be going back and forth and different things like that, and they, several of them had said to me, you had a calling to do this, or it's in your blood. And I used to jokingly say to people after a while, I'm having my blood drained to get new blood because I ain't doing this crap. If you asked me years ago would I have gotten involved to the point with demonology, I don't know. I don't know. But I just always followed the path and just always watched what was happening in the situations I would be drawn into and the environments. And there have been times where I've walked away from the paranormal, and I would just say, I'm done with this. I'm just totally done with it. And something always comes up. Things would continuously occur where I would get drawn back in again. And it was always by spiritual people. That's what would drive me crazy. A priest would give me a jingle, or a shaman would give me a call, or somebody else, and it would just be like, it would just build right back up again, and I would just go, I'm trying to get away from this, and again, it would get thrown right back into my lap where, John, you can't walk away from this. There's no way you're ever going to be able to walk away from doing what you do.
Right. And
so again, it's a tough thing to say, but I always do look back on everything, and there's not much I would change over the course of I don't know, just about anything in my life.
Good. Yeah. That's good to hear, because then obviously what you've done you're comfortable with, and it's a path you chose, like you said, and you wouldn't change it for anything. So I like hearing that. I guess the only other thing I'm really curious about here is hearing a little bit about what I've been seeing on Facebook lately. When you were here for Ocean State Paracon, or in Rhode Island, you spent some time with George Lopez, and I've seen a lot of videos George has put up at Bathsheba's gravesite.
Yes.
And how I've noticed, not only communicating with Bathsheba, but Ed as well.
Yes.
How often do you find Ed around you? And
to the degree of what transpired that weekend that Andrea and George, because we spent a complete week together. They were here at my home for several days prior, and they were here a couple of days after the event up there. And I thought it was intriguing and it was an interesting perspective of it because I was very curious about Bathsheba. I mean, I've always heard the story my entire, career from Ed and the different connections and the different things. So I have to say I was interested to see what was going to transpire up at her gravesite. And during the course of it, the original travel up there and gravesite, when we were there, we did not really get too much result. But we had gone back the following day, and it was just the three of us. And I made it a point, and Andrea and George will tell you this. I said, I really don't want to stand here while you're doing that. I'm just going to, go into a different area or something. Why? I didn't want to see if it was going to be influenced. Or I shouldn't say it like that. I should say I didn't want to influence it. So when I came back and I picked them up and everything, the both of them just looked at me and they go, "You're just not going to believe the communications that came through." And I just smiled at the both of them, and I just said, "Don't share any of it right now. Let's wait to see what happens." But then when we got back down into Connecticut and we were just sitting talking, and George was reviewing some of it and he was letting me listen to it, I was taken back by some of the different communications and the different things that were said from the second round. Yeah. So, again, there was a significance, there was a reason, I feel. I can't honestly 100% tell you what the reasoning was, but I think there was a connection that was transpiring and taking place, and I thought it was important, and significant, some of the information that came through. So George is still going through them. I mean, every day I'll come and open up my Facebook page and have 4 or 5 different things that he found, as he's reviewing different things. And, I think all three of us really got taken back about, the amount of different things that came through at Bathsheba's gravesite and Ed Warren's gravesite.
Yeah. It was really cool well, I don't want to say cool as in like a fanboy cool, but it was really interesting to sit back and watch those videos, and and if anybody knows Ed's voice, it's you, and to see you respond to what you're hearing, as it being able to confidently say it's Ed communicating with you, that was just amazing to me because there are tons of people that can say whatever they want out there, but if you have somebody with firsthand knowledge of what somebody sounds like,
right,
and maybe things that they would say, and you can, I don't want to say confirm, but confidently communicate that it's Ed, or Bathsheba. That to me is, I don't want to say evidence, but it's pretty darn close.
Well, again, too, I had several other people and another person within the family structure that was extremely close with my uncle. As soon as she listened to several of them, I mean, she knew instantly. But George did something very interesting, and I was glad he did this, is that he went back and he was listening to Ed Warren's voice on several other different things that Ed did, and he did a comparison to some of those sound clips that he captured, and they're identical.
Wow.
So, again, you take that step back, and because George told me, he goes, "I got an idea," and I go, "What's that, buddy?" He goes, I'll let you know in a couple of days, and listening to him and everything, and then he said to me, he goes, "That's definitely Ed." And I go, "Well, I think it is." I says, "I know that voice." I says, "I'm used to it after all these years." He goes, "No, John, I did a comparison." He goes, "That's his voice."
Wow.
So I said, okay, that was intriguing and interesting to get that, and to hear that George was able to do that. That substantiated it quite a bit for me.
Yeah. I got goosebumps. That does it for me.
We've only got a few minutes left here in the show.
John, I have a question for you about your collection, your museum. Now, this is coming from a curator's perspective. How do you catalog everything you've got in that place?
Well, that was another main reason for getting the books going. It's a running joke with absolutely everybody. I can walk through the entire museum. I can tell you anything you want to know about those items. and everybody does the same thing. They go, John, do you have all this recorded? Do you have everything documented? And I'll just look at people and go, you know, I know everything, you know, affiliated and everything that's tied in, you know, with everything. So it's something that is being worked on over this past year, and that was another big reason that I said, gee, it's time to get all of it documented so, you know, anything does occur or happen, you know, the next person in line that knows the most about anything down there would be my son, because he usually walks around or he's down there with me when, you know, the group is down there, or, you know, some of the students from campuses are over or something.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Please do, because that is a true museum, and I would hate to see that just fall to pieces because no one knows where anything came from, or good God.
Well, most of the things, you know, like I said, and it's a running joke. You know, whether a personal letter came in with an item, I make sure it remains with the item, or an email that's associated. I do make sure, you know, that these things are with the particular items so that there's reference, and, you know, people can cross-reference it. But then, you know, even the running joke is, well, John, what happens if everything gets moved? And I go, why do you have to make it worse than what it is?
John, if there were to be an earthquake in Connecticut, would a portal open up over your museum, just like in Ghostbusters when they shut off the containment unit?
A lot of people seem to think so. And, you know, again, it was very interesting. George had done a huge EVP or a ghost box thing down in the museum. I don't know what his results are on that. Andrea had went through down there, and she just started coming and telling me about a lot of the different vibrations she was feeling around items. And, you know, again, I just chuckle and laugh because these people don't know a lot of the stories about the items that are down there. But again, to hear people pick up on the different things, and, you know, to me that's cool, because that's just telling me, again, you know, the energy is associating, and it's letting people know the different things. But I don't know. I hope someday it doesn't turn into like the Ghostbusters and the building just blows up and everything flies around. I hope not.
I'm going to tell you something that I'm not sure you know yet, because it was just, obviously it could be pure coincidence.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But during the Conjuring panel in Rhode Island at the Ocean State Paracon, you were all in there, and an ice cream truck drove by.
Twice, mind you.
Twice. The name on the side of the ice cream truck, can you guess? The name on the side of the ice cream, it was Annabelle.
Are you kidding me?
No,
I swear to God.
The first time I drove by, we were like, you're kidding, right? And then I drove by again, we're like, really?
Yeah. An ice cream truck drove by while the Conjuring panel was going on, and on the side it was Annabelle's ice cream.
Phil McRae saw it. He was like, what the hell?
Plenty of witnesses saw it.
That's too funny.
Isn't that weird?
That's too funny.
So, and creepy. Just creepy. You can say creepy. Creepy.
So, wrapping things up, John, anything you would like to plug real quick here before we let you go?
Well, just that I hope people pick up the new book, and it has a lot of the items in it. I'm looking very forward to having it out there. Just check my Facebook page, and there's quite a few different events that I'll be on the remainder of the year, and hope to see some of you there.
That's excellent. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to grab that book. I definitely want to read about those things, yeah.
I'm very interested.
Yeah.
John, it's been a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for coming on at the last minute.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Have a great night.
Have a great night.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. The Immortal, dare I say.
The Immortal. I had so many more questions to ask him, too. I always say this at the end because I'm like, ugh, I have so many questions.
The Immortal. John Zappis.
I wanted to ask him if there are any items that he has, any objects, items, whatever you want to call them, that creep him out, that he just goes, I don't know, we'll move on to the next one.
And we'll skip this section over here. It's got to be the clowns.
Okay. Circus, yeah, that's fine. But when Pennywise shows up in the back, I'm good.
No way.
I didn't walk past sewer drains for a good 6 years after I saw that movie. Okay.
Anyway, we're just about out of time on the show, guys. We appreciate everybody showing up and spending some time with us.
And let's see.
Next week?
We appreciate all the stories that everyone shared and everything, just we know a lot of people, and I don't want people to think that we're bashing the paranormal field. We know a lot of people who are very intelligent and are very interested in this kind of stuff and really have the right thoughts in mind and are really trying, but they're just not completely informed.
Right.
I'm not completely informed. I don't know everything.
I'm always going to learn. I know we say this all the time. I'm always going to learn something. And it's not bashing our field in any way.
Exactly.
If anything, it's just hopefully giving people advice,
right,
and maybe what they should do what they should think about before they do something.
Right, just like the story I told. That girl, she's really smart and really cool, and she'll, things will be alright.
Exactly, guys. We are out of time. Love you all. Thank you so much for showing up, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.